Joining me now, though, Hal Kempfer, national security analyst, retired Marine Corps intelligence officer, and host of Strat podcast. Sir, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, so President Trump says he's willing to deploy troops if needed. What would be that line in which that is the type of action that the president is willing to do?
Well, Alex, that's what we're all trying to figure out is exactly what he means. We all saw what happened in Iraq back in 2003. So far, what it appears, and everyone's a little bit of guesswork on this, is that he wants to avoid the mistakes that we made in Iraq, which was we disbanded their security services, their military, their police. And of course, the country descended into a degree of anarchy, which kind of fed the insurgency. What it looks like we're doing here is we're trying to keep their military and their police forces, security forces intact, and work with a government that is actually respected and that they trust, that they will work with, and then work on reforms from there. As far as what we'd bring afterwards, we just don't have the forces to actually go in and occupy the country. I know it sounds great to say, but it would take a phenomenal amount of forces. That's a huge country. It stretches from New York to South Carolina, from New York to Chicago in terms of the size, if you compare it to the U.S. So it'd be very difficult for us to actually administrate that directly with military forces.
What do you make of the reaction that we're hearing from the international community? Specifically, I want to focus in on Cuba. We know that's very close to the region. It's also a longtime adversary to the United States. Obviously, everything that happened must be weighing on them. How do you interpret what they are seeing and how they might react?
Well, Cuba is very nervous because they get their oil from Venezuela, and they've already been having trouble getting oil. There's a lot of economic problems, macroeconomic problems within Cuba. There's a lot of dissension, if you will, against the government, a lot of frustration with the government. And there is a thought that, that Maduro leaves, that Venezuela comes back into the U.S. camp, and then the next country that may change over would be Cuba. Of course, the other thought is maybe Nicaragua or something. And the Iranians are also looking at what's happening here, too, because they, too, have had threats from President Trump on what could happen. So all these countries are looking, but it's particularly Cuba because of their economic ties to that oil that comes from Venezuela.
Look, you brought up Iraq in 2003 and the, quote, anarchy that followed. I'm wondering also whether or not this isn't all that different than what we saw in Panama in '89 and Haiti in 1994. And just in general, what do you think history taught us from those moments in time and how that might relate to what we're seeing happen in Venezuela today?
Well, in Panama, we actually had a very good relationship with a lot of the security forces because we physically were in Panama. We had bases down there. We were all over town. I was stationed in Panama right after that took place. And so we had a very different situation physically on the ground. I was involved in the Haiti operations back in '94. Very difficult operation. We put a lot of forces, a lot of international coalition forces in there. We don't have a coalition on this one. And even then, if you look at the situation in Haiti today, you can see that we didn't fix all the problems within Haitian society or the Haitian economy by a long stretch. Panama, on the other hand, has turned out to be quite a success story. I thought that went very well. And so, it depends on the country. You can't just cookie cutter and say they're all like each other. They're all very different, and they all have very different demographic, socioeconomic issues that you have to work through in order to have a degree of success.
Yeah, exactly. There is some case files to look at from the past when it comes to military might of the United States and entering foreign countries. Hal Kempfer, thank you very much for your time, for your expertise, and for your service, sir.